Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Macca's Talk Hockey podcast, the podcast where it's me and Charlie with our dad today. So, we're doing another special team special ready for the new season. And today we've got the Telford Tigers, and we did have a special interview. I interviewed Caelan McPhee. The Wi-Fi was a bit dodgy at the start, but I've tried to edit it so it picks up, and the Wi-Fi got better throughout the interview. So a big thank you for Caelan for hopping on for that. We'll play that very shortly. But if you don't know how the team specials work, we basically look back at every team's last season and how they did, talk a bit about it. We then cut to the interview if we have one. And then after that, we look ahead to next season, our expectations, and a ones to watch each from their new roster. So, plenty to talk about. But starting with last season, Charlie, and we'll get straight into it. Again, Telford, they made the playoffs. We know they're not one of the biggest budget teams in the league, but they made the playoffs. And the big standout for me was how good their power play was, and how good their imports were as well, and how quickly Caelan McPhee settled. And I know he's the interview, but we've got to pump his tires because a lot of people are questioning he didn't score many goals goals and points in the U Sports, but he come into the National League and he settled straight away, didn't he?
Yeah. They had a huge year from all four of their imports. And they had a big point scoring production from all of them throughout the whole year. Especially McPhee from D getting a point a game, and then obviously Thompson and Henderson getting ridiculous numbers of points for the both of them. But yeah, Telford were good. They were a classic Telford team. They take chances when you want to. They work hard. All their lines will chase you down on the boards, and we have started to see in more recent years, as the National League's developed a bit more. Telford is a lower budget team, the type of team which, on paper, they never will have a team which is probably going to compete for a league. But there'll be a team which is going to work hard, push for playoffs. In their own rink, they're gonna beat probably every team in the league. They're gonna take points off Leeds, and they seem to always be a bogey team for MK in their own rink. And they always have some shock results. And they love to develop Brits as well. And that's one thing they do every single year. They bring in some Brits from other teams who are maybe not getting as much ice time, and they develop them. They had guys like Brindley Caps last year come in, and they also had Tate Shudra. So it was a good year for Telford. I thought they hit their expectations. They obviously had some entertaining moments, and yeah, they had an unbelievable power play.
Yeah, Dad, we could talk about the imports, how good Thompson and Henderson were as a duo, and Henderson got 80 assists in the season. Thompson just one goal off getting 50. But the Brits, I thought, were quite impressive as well. And we were just talking off camera, me and Charlie, about how many goals were scored from the British players. 19 goals from Scott McKenzie, who's still going, 23 from Harry Ferguson.
Mm.
Brindley Cap's got 17, and Tate Shudra got 22 goals, more goals than assists. He had a very good season with 40 points. So I really just like the way that those Brits can thrive in this Telford team, and they'll get the opportunities like Charlie said.
Yeah, I think Charlie's hit the nail on the head. Developing some really good players and also some more mature players, still bringing in the points. Scott McKenzie for them. I mean, we saw, how many times did we see Brindley Cap's celebration against Swindon? It was frustrating, wasn't it? But he, he showed what he can do, and along with the other Brits as well. So yeah, from that perspective, when you look at developing players, spot on within Telford, and also they had some really, as you say, they had some really good imports that they can learn from and develop from as well. So, I think enough said really from the point of view, they're not a bigger budget team, but what they've done is they will cause upsets for bigger teams, where they're desperate for the teams that are fighting for the league. They want to get, if you can get 2 points away from home against Telford, you're doing well. You're absolutely doing well.
Yeah,
So,
as Charlie said, they always tend to beat everyone on their home ice, and they were so close to making that Coventry playoff spot, weren't they? It went down to that final game at home against Hull, and it was just one goal in it, and they couldn't get it over the line. They'll be disappointed about that. But as Charlie said, I think obviously the news come out, and I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about it in the second half. But the news come out, they put a statement, and that they were struggling a bit on keeping up with a lot of the teams in the National League. And we have talked about this, Charlie, on how this could be a struggle for some teams in the future if we keep trying to go. So I think we're in a good spot now. We'll talk about the imports which they have signed. They've got the 5 imports ready for next season. They've got a new title sponsor as well. And they're always going to have those fans who come back every season. So, it was a positive season for them. And, we'll obviously talk about our expectations for them going into next season and the roster. They've signed up a few new players as well. But, enjoy the interview of Caelan McPhee. Really nice guy. I'm not surprised that Tommy Watkins wanted him back for next season. So we'll see you in a short bit. Hello and welcome back. I'm delighted to be joined by a special guest for our Telford Tigers special. Caelan McPhee joins me from Canada. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. What's the time over in Canada at the moment?
It's around just after 5 p.m.
Okay, so it's about 10 o'clock here, so 5 hours behind. We did just talk off camera, but when's kind of the plans to come back to England ready for the start of the season?
Just the week commencing the 24th, so I think the flight's booked for the 26th of August there.
Nice one. Get a week prep before the season. Before we kind of talk about your time with Telford, we'll go back to the start. I like to go from the start, and then we can talk a bit about your time with the Tigers. But how did you kind of get up into hockey? I know it's the main sport in Canada, but yeah, talk us through how you kind of got into ice hockey.
I would say my dad got me into it like pretty early on growing up. So I probably started skating like when I was probably about 4, which is pretty normal, I'd say, for most players around where I'm from. Like you start pretty early, so just as long as I can remember, I was always on skates, and whether it was just on like a pond hockey rink or in the backyard, my dad would make a rink, or just learning how to skate and play competitively with the teams around the area. It was pretty early on for me.
Nice one. And did you always want to be a defenseman, or did it just kind of you kind of were a good skater and you like playing D?
Funny story about that actually. Like I was a centerman for the longest time.
Really?
For I'd say like probably half, three quarters of like my minor hockey
Okay.
career growing up. So like I was always a smaller guy. I had a late growth spurt, so it's kind of hard to play defense when you're really small. Growing up, when you're playing against guys that are like growing quicker than you and everything. But one of my coaches, I'd say around when I was probably like 12 or 13, just kind of pulled my dad and I aside and was just like, hey, like I think you're like a pretty good skater, and you can skate backwards pretty well. So why don't we, and like, I don't know, some other things on top of that he liked about my game, but he's like, I feel like if you make the move to defense that you'd be pretty good at it. So why don't we just give it a shot? And I kind of just ran away with it. I liked it ever since, and just got used to it. And yeah, I've just been playing defense ever since.
So obviously it gets to the U Sports and then COVID hit. So what was kind of the plan for that season, knowing you weren't going to actually be able to play in that first season of U Sports?
It was a weird transition, not just for me, but I think for everyone at the time playing hockey during COVID. But going from junior to the U Sports level, it was just a lot of excitement, and I actually didn't really mind having like an extra year to maybe prepare for like the difference in speed and the physicality and everything, like a year to get in the weight room, to get faster off the ice and on the ice. So I kind of just try to use it to my advantage and try to like just make the most out of like the difficult situation that was COVID. So but yeah, no, it was kind of an easy transition. You get to know the guys, and you get to get the first year classes under your belt. So it just makes you more familiar with maybe like a little bit less pressure, you'd say, for your first year university.
Yeah, and we get quite a lot of U Sports players signed to the NIHL. I think that was the most popular league a couple seasons ago, where every single player was getting signed from the U Sports. So, what was kind of your role as a defenseman over in the U Sports? Because it's a different kind of league than the NIHL, a lot less games. and maybe a bit more structured, I'd say. A lot less goals in the games as well.
Yeah, no, it's like the conference I played in, the AUS, like the Atlantic was, there's not a lot of teams in the conference, so you get to know, you're familiar with all the teams pretty quick, and that just means it works both ways in your favor and against you, where they do their homework and they see you a lot throughout the year. So I'd say 100% of the games were like pretty defensive and a lot of big system based kind of game where your coach has a plan and a role for you, and you kind of just have to play that role and try to help your team win. So for me, like especially like our D coach and our head coach, university really like try to pride ourselves in the D zone and shutting down oppositions pretty quick and just moving the puck north as quick as possible. So maybe not as much room for like the flashy stuff you'd see at different levels, but all in all, it was great. It kind of like hammered home the fundamentals and how to play defense properly in your own zone and everything. So I learned a lot from playing at that level.
Okay, so it's interesting. So you played a lot of the similar teams, quite a few times throughout the season, which maybe resulted in there being a lot more closer kind of defensive games, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Like like I said, you get to know the other teams pretty quick, and who's like the players on their team, what they can do, what kind of tendencies they have. So it's easy for teams to kind of figure out that way, especially when you're watching film every week and just studying the other teams as well. So and just scouting in general. So I'd say it's definitely harder to get stuff done at that level. And I think every team in that league really prides themselves on being pretty defensive and just doing their homework.
Nice one. And you complete your time in university. How did the move kind of come about to Telford?
Yeah, no, I kind of just did a little bit of self promoting, I'd say. Like I never had an agent coming out of the U Sports, or even right now I don't. But I had a good buddy of mine who was my roommate. You guys probably know him, Cameron Pound. Played for Belfast in the Elite League. He's one of my best friends, and his dad knew Tom obviously just through the British hockey system. So he kind of just threw my name out there, gave me the contact of Tom, and I just kind of sent him some film and kind of just told him who I was, and we just kind of talked for a little bit, and eventually he just sent me a contract and kind of took a chance on me, I'd say, and just try to do the best I can for him when I got there.
Was it always did you always want to go out and play in Europe, maybe specifically England, or were you just looking for a European team to go and play outside of Canada?
I wanted to play like pro at any level. Like just whether it was over in Europe or starting in North America, I was willing to maybe play in a bunch of different leagues to start out just to see how get my feet wet and see how I did or how I managed. But like Europe was definitely the plan. I'd say like I wanted to get across the pond and try new opportunities, see the world a bit, and have pretty familiar ties, I'd say, with the UK, especially because my mom was born there. So she was born in Liverpool. So I actually do have my citizenship there and everything. But so she always used to talk about it growing up and how like her moving to Canada was so different. So I figured why not, like perfect opportunity to kind of see that part of the world and see what my mom was on about,
That is pretty cool. So you'd never been to the UK, even though your mum was from England before you joined Telford?
No, I haven't. Never been. No.
And then you obviously joined Telford. What were your expectations coming in the National League? Because I can imagine you looked over the kind of the past few seasons in the league and maybe saw that it was quite a high scoring league.
Yeah, no, like obviously, like whenever you go to a new league or a new team, like you obviously it's probably wise to do a little bit of homework on the league and the team itself. So I definitely like watched some film on the league and Telford in general, and kind of had an idea, I guess you could say. But film can only go so far. Like yeah, it doesn't lie, and it shows everything you need to see. But you never really know what the speed is actually going to be like until you're out there. So I try to do the best I could to maybe have an idea of what the league would be like, and obviously I would talk to Cameron about like what he thought of the league and his dad because they obviously knew a lot more than me. So, but for the most part, it was kind of just just going out there a little bit blind, I'd say too. At the same time, just kind of just trusting yourself and seeing how you do really.
obviously you came into a league with 4 imports. It's now gone up to the 5. But did you like that kind of added pressure as being one of those 4 non-British trained players coming into the team?
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't really put too much thought to it, I'd say, about just being one of the imports. You know, at the end of the day, like, you just, like I said, you just got to trust in your own ability, and you kind of talk to the coach about your role on the team and what he expects of you and everything. And you know, at the end of the day, I just try to do whatever Tom asked me to do and just try to help the team win as best I could.
Perfect. And you come into the team, and one guy I'm going to throw up is Rhodes, and he's probably one of the best British talents in the NIHL. And I think you were partnered with him quite a bit at the start of the season. So how did you find kind of playing with him and sharing the ice with him as a defensive partner?
Yeah, no, yeah, Rhodes is definitely a great player. You know, he's definitely valuable as a British defenseman as well. It's pretty apparent, and you know, everybody you talk to about him is pretty high on him, and then you get to play with him and see how he is around the room and on the ice, and you know, it's all, I can only say good things about Rhodes and his ability, and you know, you talk to, like I said, the coach and everything, how he's been getting better throughout every year, and you know, he obviously has aspirations for his career in hockey, and you know, to probably reach the highest level he can. So he's a hard worker, and I wish him nothing but the best every year that he's going to be playing. And unfortunately, I get the opportunity to play alongside him again, which is awesome. So I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of Telford fans were buzzing when that news came out a couple of weeks ago. I remember you settled quite quickly into the NIHL, and you actually started the season, I think, as the top scoring defenseman. Did you just come into it like I'm gonna go for it, find the league out, and did you know that you had a chance to be a bit more offensive compared to maybe playing in the U Sports where it was a lot more defensive game?
Like, I definitely, I've always been kind of, or like tried to at least, you know, contribute offensively wherever I can. Obviously, U Sports was like a bit of a down spiral in my career in that regard, but you know, different play style and different coaching, you have to offer different things as a player. So, you know, I try to not let it, you know, get into my head about that throughout U Sports, and because I've done it in junior, obviously, and had pretty good stints there. So I always knew I could contribute that way. But you know, I was just kind of finding the rhythm again, and you know, just gaining the confidence. So I wouldn't say I was coming into expecting to do that per se, but I definitely knew I had it in me. And you know, just being one of the imports, the only import D man on your team, you know, it's kind of expected of you to produce. So I definitely use that kind of fuel the fire a bit and try to do the best I can.
And I remember to start the season, the power play you guys had. I think it was the start of the season. It was ticking at like 60%. You obviously had Thompson, Henderson on it, and then yourself. But yeah, what made that power play so good at the start of the season?
Oh, you know, it's a big credit to everybody on the unit, like you said, like Tomo and Hendo. They're obviously great players, and they have a knack for finding the net and making good passes and good reads. So you know, credit to those guys. They're amazing, and you know, just having other guys on your team that are willing to work hard and win the battles, even when you're a man up, and you know, to the schemes that Tom was drawing up for us and whatnot. So, I mean, it was just at the end of the day, it's you just kind of just do what Tom was asking of us and trying to keep it a little simple and just getting pucks to the net, and you know, trusting your teammates out there, and it was just working and gelling for us early on. So I'd say it was just a collective effort.
What was some of your kind of? I always ask the imports who play for the first time in the UK. You obviously go to so many different rinks. Some are bigger, like Milton Keynes, Hull, and then some are a bit smaller. So, how did you find adjusting to the different rink sizes?
Yeah, no, it's definitely different, you know, when you play different opponents. But like, to be honest, like my hometown rink, one of them's Olympic size, so I kind of grew up playing on an Olympic size rink, so I was kind of used to it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's other teams in the league, including us, that don't have that Olympic size rink. So you just kind of got to make decisions quicker out there, I find, and then just be willing to take more hits out there because it's just a smaller area, and you know, guys are on you quicker. So you just kind of get used to it after a few games in each barn, and just kind of know what to expect, and yeah, you just kind of take it from there and play what the rink is.
What was your first reaction when you stepped into the Peterborough ice rink? Good old Peterborough.
Yeah, no, it's an older rink, but I definitely played in barns that are kind of similar in Canada, even so. Maybe not to hopping over the boards like that, but and standing up on the bench. But it is what it is. You just play with what you got, and I don't mind playing in the rinks like that at all. There's a lot of history there, so just kind of play the game, try not to focus too much on it.
Nice one. Who in the league, I guess, teams and maybe a couple players you played against? Who did you have some really good battles with throughout the season?
Uh, like I don't know about any players. I guess I think every team, had a couple of guys that were pretty good at getting under your skin or trying to or just playing you hard. So like I mean, like every team kind of had players like that, but that's just hockey at the end of the day, right? Everybody's competitive, everybody wants to win, so you're kind of expected to get into it with a few guys for sure. But rink team wise, I'm not really sure, to be honest. Like I know us and Hall had a good little playoff stint there where we had a couple close games and came down to the wire. So maybe them for playoffs, I'd say. Probably the biggest games of the year.
Yeah, I think Telford really pride themselves in that home ice rink. It's really tough to go to Telford, and I think because you've got a lot of the same guys who come and sign most seasons, they just know how to play in that rink. And did you kind of feel that when you had that home game, maybe when you needed to bounce back from a loss on the Saturday, that you knew you could go and beat anyone on your night in your home barn?
I mean, yeah, like we try to make it a priority to win at home. Like it was definitely a rink that we were comfortable in, like you said, and like because you practice there every week and you know the ins and outs of all the bounces, so definitely it gives you a little bit of an advantage, and you don't have the bus legs, so maybe that helped our home stints for a winning percentage, but at the end of the day, like you got fans from your town coming to see you play. Like you want to put on a show. Like you want to make it worth their money, right? Worth their while. So maybe it gives you a little bit more of an edge when you're out there, and just play with a little pride and give them something to cheer about. So we just try to do our best and make it a good time for everyone.
Telford always have the same fans coming through the door supporting every season. Yeah, I get on really well with a lot of the Telford fans. And you've re-signed for next season. Talk us through kind of the decision to come back to Telford and the talks you had with Tommy.
No, I mean it was pretty easy decision, I'd say. Like like I said at the start of the interview, like he kind of gave me a little bit like a chance as a guy that didn't have an agent or maybe not the best U Sports numbers. So I just I wanted I liked the town, and I liked the room a lot. Like everybody was a really nice person in the room and helping run the team. So to the fans as well, everybody was super nice to me, and whether it was just saying hi to me in the rink or just around the area. So it just kind of made it easy for me to just talk to Tom about like what he was expecting and where he saw the direction of the team going and new things they have and things they want to continue to build. So it was just an easy decision for me to come to an agreement with Tom and just get it done right away.
How have you found playing under Tom? Because he's one of the best coaches we've seen in the National League and in the EPL as well. So how's it been playing under him and the experience he's kind of had in the National League and helping you kind of adjust to the National League as well?
Oh, he's been nothing but amazing for me. He's obviously really respected and for British ice hockey, and he's had a good career as a player. People are quick to tell you that, and he's known to be one of the better coaches for sure. So, like from the practices to the games, like he's definitely somebody that like demands the best out of you and the effort that you bring. So, whether it's attention to details or winning battles or just playing for the logo. So, he's an easy guy to play hard for, and yeah, to off the ice as well, like adjusting, like you said, he's been nothing but helpful and you ever need anything, he's only a text or call away and help you out, or to get one of the veteran guys to maybe drop by and help you out. So
Scotty.
I got, yeah, Scotty for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I got nothing but good things to say about Tom.
Nice one. Going on to next season, then Telford have the Tigers have announced all of their imports and most of the roster as well. And you've signed a lot of those guys who've been around for a while, and some really good standard imports actually from the NCAA as well. Yeah, what's kind of the expectations going into the season? I know it's hard to put expectations when you got to see how it plays and how other teams play out, but I can imagine Telford, they want to have a good start to the season and try and make that top four of the cut for the semi-finals.
I mean, yeah, like any season you go into, you obviously want to do the best you can and start out hot and get some wins under your belt. So I think really the expectation would just be a competitive every night, and just not be out of games, and to give it 100% every night and play for the guys around you. So I think you ask anybody in the league, like their expectations to win and to bring home some trophies for their club, but you never know how a season's going to go until you're in it. So like I said, just give it 100%, be competitive, and try to win every night.
It's cliche, but one game at a time, isn't it?
Yeah, no, long season, right? So you never know if there's going to be injuries. You never know if there's going to be any setbacks. So you just kind of take it one day at a time and just kind of keep grinding as a unit.
I've got to ask, because there'll be people watching the YouTube as well. How did you lose your teeth at the front there?
That was a while ago. That was, I think, 2018. I want to say 2019, around that time. I was playing juniors, and I was at the RBC Cup, so the nationals for Junior A, in Brooks, Alberta, and I remember it was just like a dump in. I was first to get the puck, and I think it was my teammate was in between a player and myself, and he kind of nudged me from behind a bit while I was getting the puck, and by accident, obviously. And then my face hit the ridge where the glass meets, so that I went face first into that, and
into the corner.
I lost. Yeah, and I lost two there. So I lost two there, and then the other time was a year later. I got three missing total, and the other time was a puck was in the air, and I went to grab it out of the air, obviously, and some guy decided to try to bat it out of the air with a stick, and the shaft got me right in the tooth. So I lost another one there. But yeah, I mean, I don't really wear them too often, but I do have the fakes, but only for special occasions. You know what I mean? So
yeah, not while you're playing hockey.
Yeah, no.
Did you play on after you knew you'd lost the teeth?
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's what hockey players do.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of part of the gig, right? As long as you can move your feet and play, you're gonna play. I think any player would. So, yeah, I remember the second time, sorry, when I lost my third tooth, I had to go to the hospital. It happened in the first period. I had to go to the hospital because it was just protocol or whatever for some reason, and then I came back at the third and finished the game. So. So the boys were pretty fired up when I came back, and we ended up winning that game in overtime. So it was a good game.
Yeah, that just makes it worth it. We always end the interviews with talking about the fans. Your first season kind of settled in Telford. You've already mentioned them and how you love them coming back every week to support. But yeah, what's kind of your message to them heading into the new season?
I mean, first and foremost, thanks for having me again. I can't wait to get back. See all you guys again. You guys are loud and proud every home game. So, and even on the road as well, we really appreciate you guys making the effort to come out and see us on road games. So, you guys make it easy to play hard for and to try to bring some silverware back for you guys. So it's guarantee you'll just give it 100% and try our best. And we love you guys back on us every night. So appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Caelan. I'm glad the Wi-Fi held up for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no. Same here.
We'll see you back in. We got Telford playing Swindon in pre-season, so we'll see you at the Link Centre.
Yeah, no, for sure. If you guys see me around the rink, or just don't be afraid to say hi. Well, catch up for a quick chat for sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Caelan.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you again, Caelan, for hopping on. Telford for next season then, and they've made a few new signings, and the one I'm actually going to start with isn't even the imports. We'll get to them in a second because we love talking about Brits. And they signed Callum Field, Charlie, and this is a guy who's been playing for MK. He's been playing on the fourth line, really. He's got a couple opportunities on that top nine, but he's never really kicked on from when he first come into MK, and that's probably due to the amount of talent and depth they've got. But he makes the move to Telford, and I respect it because he's playing under a coach who loves playing that young talent. We saw Tate Shudra go from Sheffield to Telford, and look at his season last year: 40 points, 22 goals. And Callum Field brings size, 6'7", I think he is. He's a centre. He can win face-offs, and I think he's gonna have a really strong season for Telford compared to when he was at Milton Keynes.
Yeah, I think it's the right move for Callum Field. I think last year it felt like his role got lessened. Is that the right word? He didn't quite get as much ice time, and I didn't feel like he was quite as trusted. And he didn't really take that step forward in terms of points, but I don't think that was on him. I just don't think he got given opportunity. And it's actually interesting. I was just looking at the stats. Tate Shudra had very similar stats at Steel Dogs before he went to Telford. And Callum Field's only 22. He's been playing fourth line minutes pretty much his whole National League career. And I remember he scored a goal past Swindon one time. And I've always thought he has more in his bag. He's just never been given the opportunity to do it. And in a team like MK, it's going to be hard to get that opportunity. In a team like Telford, if you work hard, you show up in training, you're going to get the opportunity. And I think it's going to be a really good year for him. He's one of my guys who I'm really looking at thinking he's going to break out this year. I can see him pushing up to that 20-point bracket, potentially more, who knows. But he's really going to, I think Tom Watkins will love trying to develop him into a very two-way, good with his stick centerman who he can really trust in all situations. Because when you're 6'5", you're a centre and you've got that reach, you can be a real pain for a lot of players in the team. And this is just, there's some signings where you just go, yeah, that suits that coach. And Callum Field to Telford is just like, yeah, that makes so much sense. You see it when Slava signs someone from Europe. You're like, yeah, that one makes sense. And I think this Callum Field one is exactly the same. I think it's the right move for him. And yeah, I think he's going to have a really good season.
Yeah, and I think he'll get onto that third line. Looking at their roster at the moment, and you never know, he could push on to getting a bit of power play time. Penalty kill, I think he could be a big one for penalty kill, being able to win the draws at centre as well. So yeah, exciting for him. But the biggest signing for them, Dad, and it's not even an import for me, is the re-signing of Rhodes Mitchell-King. Now, they kind of teased it because they didn't announce him to come back with the rest of the players which they announced were coming back. They kind of waited and waited and waited, and maybe he was making a decision, but he decides to re-sign in Telford, and that is a huge signing because he's probably top 3 British defenseman in the league. So talented. Is definitely a player I think could make that step to the elite league at some point, but he's sticking with Telford for another season and being that top guy like he was with Caelan McPhee. I think they were a good duo last season. So yeah, great re-signing for them.
Yeah, I think I just go back to how many minutes you're going to get per game in order to develop your game. And I think that's absolutely going to be the case for Callum Field. He's not going to be low minutes. It will take him some time to develop with more minutes and get used to regular higher minutes. And I think the same Mitchell King. You know, I think he's, he was touted by a number of clubs. And he stayed with Telford, but he's going to get the minutes. And again, you can see how quickly players can develop in a season. And I think they'll be reliant on him again in the D. And again, he's going to be one of the top D. And as you say, he is going to. At the moment, you feel he is going to go to the elite league. And I think believing in himself more. I think he's got that opportunity at Telford. It is a game again. I'm sure Telford would be frustrated because they want to be fighting for the league. But I think we're going to be seeing some players really shine because they've been allowed to develop and play more minutes.
Yeah, and I think Mitchell King. It's a tougher league as well now with the fifth
is.
import, so he's going to be defending against even more import forwards. And he's still only 23.
And
so
they'll play with an import this year.
Yeah.
Whereas last year he was always with a Brit. And this year, now they got 2 import D. I'd be very surprised if they went 2 imports and then rode with the Brit. I think one of the agreements thing coming back, I don't know this, it's just me assuming, would have been you whack me with an import and we play 30 minutes a night. It's going to be a pair which plays a lot of minutes, but I think he'll be playing with that.
McPhee. It could be McPhee.
Could be McPhee, but I reckon it'll be the other guy. McPhee's a big puck mover as well.
Yeah, but we'll move on to it. Obviously, they've signed 2 import defensemen, and I think that is probably because they've stuck with the Brit goalie and Brad Day. They could have moved on from him and gone with an import goalie, but I think Brad Day back end of the season and in playoffs, he actually was all right. And the thing is with Brad Day, he picks and chooses his games, doesn't he? Some games he's one of the best and hottest netminders, and other games, if you get a couple past him in that first period, it's not really his day. But he's got a solid defensive core in front of him this season, and I think that if you've got a better D core in front of your dad, you're more confident as a goaltender. And I think Tommy Watkins has recognised that and has signed those 2 import defensemen plus Rhodes Mitchell King, and they've actually got more depth in D as well this season. So, they'll be looking for a bit more consistency from Brad Day. And it could be maybe his last season, maybe he's got a couple more. But, big season for him and the D core in front of him.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure there's budgetary constraints, but you've got to go with what you've got. And Brad Day, there's been times where he just frustrates the hell out of teams, because you do come in sometimes. When he's had a bad game, like most netminders, you think, right, here we go. There's the opportunity to squeeze it now, and it doesn't happen. So I think, with a stronger D in front of him and another season, he is going to frustrate teams. Yeah. See how he goes. Yeah.
How he goes. We'll talk about the D in front of him, Charlie. Obviously, we know about McPhee, so we don't have to talk about him too much. But they signed Jeremy Michaud, I'm going to say, and 25 years old, comes straight out of the U Sports. And he got some decent little points in the U Sports as well. And I think it's exciting. I think it's a nice little addition for the Tigers, and it's going to take the load off McPhee and Rhodes Mitchell King as well.
Yeah. As you said, they've taken that move of saying instead of going for import goalie, we're going to shore up the defense, and this guy looks really good. He's had 4 very consistent years in the U Sports. We've seen good defensemen come out of the U Sports, and I think he'll be a puck mover. He'll be able to get the puck up the ice on the forward sticks. Not the biggest of guys. They've gone for a smaller guy. He's 5'10". And I've often found watching some of the smaller D-men who have come into the league, they're always good with their stick as well. And it always stands out in the league.
Wells.
And when we've spoke to players before, Thomas always used to say this, and Ali said this. The importance of the first pass onto the stick for a forward is massive. And I think we're going to see that all around the league, especially as import defensemen have gone up this year in numbers, the amount of teams with them. I think it's going to be so important for teams to get pucks on sticks. And I think the transition play is going to be even more lethal this year around the league. I think we're going to get much smoother breakouts. And we're going to see a lot of teams get caught on the transition. And I think Telford will look to do that with the team they've got. Catch teams on the transition with the D-men. Because they've got 3 D-men in this team who can whip a pass up the ice very quickly. And we saw with Swindon last year with Ben O'Connor, Bradley and Wells. All 3 of them can get the puck up to Logan, Caden like that. And Telford have got the same thing now.
Yeah, we forgot to mention they've got a backup netminder, Scottish netminder, in Daniel McGowan, only 19 years old. He'll probably get a few games this season because Day isn't going to play 54. But again, young netminder, and you imagine Day's probably going to be the starter. You've got your regulars, Dan Rose, Deacon Fielder, Mather's back. Nick Oliver has re-signed as well, and he's reliable. He is reliable, Nick Oliver, and he might even be in that top 4 of the D core. And then Corey Goodison decides to come back as well. So it'll be interesting to see. That is 8 defensemen signed up, though, for the season. But we say that, Telford always get defensive injuries, and then we're saying, well, they haven't got enough D men. So yeah, it's not a bad thing having that depth in the D core. And then we move to the forward stat. Obviously, we spoke about Callum Fields, but you've got the likes of Shudra coming back. Newell gets to go as a forward, and I'm going to put money on him now. He will be able to play forward this season. We've said it the last 2 seasons. With them having 8 D men, surely play it forward this season. And he might go defence at some games, but you get Newell back as a forward. And then they've got Somerton, Stanton, a couple younger players coming in. But we'll move on to the imports. And they keep Eric Henderson, their top point scorer from last season. I know Thompson moved on, Brown's moved on, but Eric Henderson, playmaking, and I think we'll see quite a few more goals from him this season, taking a bit of that load from Thompson. You might see a bit more selfish Henderson, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Sorry, Dad.
Oh, mate, that's right. No, it's fine. No, I don't think it is. I think again, he's the stable one. He's had a season with Telford. He'll be bringing in, supporting, encouraging, directing some of the new players in. He knows the Telford way, and again, I think he'll be hungry to develop for another season. So yeah, he'll be building new relationships in the forward lines, and plus also as we've said. You know, I think you've got import D along with Rose Mitchell-King, etc., who are going to be passing the puck forward quickly, and yeah, opportunity for him to lead the lines and new players coming in.
Yeah, he's 80 assists last season. Yeah, just put the puck on his stick and he'll create. And we'll start with their first one they announced, Charlie, Ronnie Paragallo, and again, 5'10", 24 years old, and he's come from the French 2 division. Not the first player this season to be signed from that division. Played in NCAA 3, got some good points in that league as well. And obviously, Fraser from Swindon, he came out of the NCAA 3. So a couple of players, and the Peterborough goalie. So a popular league this season for players to come out, but the French too, Charlie. He's had a season in Europe, and I think that's important to get that season outside of the NCAA 3 and still get a point a game as well.
Yeah, he looks solid. He's as you said, he's a smaller guy. You'd expect a bit of skill, a bit of speed. I think that's probably something I would say Telford lacked a bit of last year, especially losing Brinley Caps, who was one of their quicker guys. I think they probably lack a bit of speed in that forward core with Scott McKenzie in that core as well. So I think, yeah, they definitely lack a bit of speed, and I think he'll bring that. And he's one of them guys, a bit like Logan was last year, a bit of a journeyman. When you're coming from the NCAA 3, you're coming to Europe, you're really trying to prove yourself each season. He will want to have another big year this year, and he can start to prove himself in Europe in 2 different leagues. And yeah, I think it will be an interesting signing. It says he's a centre on Elite Prospects as well, which means he could either take that first or second line centre role. And he's kind of, in his career, he's kind of been a goal and an assist guy. He's pretty 50-50, so he can do both, which I think is really, really important. And yeah, I think he looks solid. I think he's probably the slightly more unknown guy out of the 2 import forwards they signed. I think the other guy's I'm a bit more sure he's gonna come in and really make a statement.
Yeah, that other guy, Dad, and he played in the NCAA, so the top university, I guess, if you want to call it, divisions, and very consistent. 15 points, 10 points, 10 points, 10 points in his 4 seasons in the NCAA. 6'1", so a big body, and I think this is the kind of build you're going to replace with your Patrick Brown, who was that size as well. And I can imagine this guy's quite quick. So I think this guy's going to be that big replacement, and is going to be relied on with Henderson for a lot of the points this season. And yeah, big bodies I think are so important to have in your team. It's nice having those smaller skill players like Paragallo, Charlie just talked about, but 6'1", big build, and a consistent point scorer, Dad.
Yeah, I think what age is he?
25, so
yeah. So, and the reason I asked that is we've mentioned a number of new imports, D and forward, all in that sort of 23, 24, 25 bracket. In theory, prime age, and physical ability and speed. And I just think with the number of imports that are coming in and Brits that are being developed at that sort of age, I think we can see the speed of hockey growing. And getting faster, and also you think about Telford's ice. It's not the biggest ice in the world, and I think to be able to have that speed within that rink from these new boys coming in is going to be key. So I think we're going to see a speedy game in Telford. I mean, that's the other thing. I'll just going back to Callum Field that you mentioned coming over. He's going to get more minutes on a smaller ice pad. I think we're going to see a different game from him. Not on a big ice pad, less minutes. Yeah. So
I agree. Right, we've talked about their roster. They might still have a few more signings as well, but that is the majority of their roster. It has been built. But yeah, our expectations, and I think we talked about it a bit at the start, Charlie. They are a lower budget team, but they've signed a pretty good roster, and I think they'll want to make playoffs again. And I know it's a long way away, but if they were so close to getting to Coventry last time, and they're a team who's known for shocking and getting to Coventry and getting to that semi-final. So I know it's a long way away, but they'll just want to make playoffs first, won't they? Because I think there's a lot of teams who are going to want to make them playoff spots and then see what they can do from there. And as McPhee said, you just got to take it a game at a time. If you look too far ahead, that's where you can get in the players' heads and the team's heads.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think make playoffs. I think like every other team, my expectation isn't for them to do this, but if you can have a hot start and you can make the cup, any team it is possible. And for Telford, if you can have a real hot start, you can get Brad Day having a good couple games to start the season. You never know, they could qualify for the cup. But for me, people may think my expectations are quite little, but my expectations is they qualify for playoffs. And I think if they qualify for playoffs, it's been a decent year for Telford. And I just think continue playing a good, entertaining style of hockey. Get some goals. Get the home crowd going. That's what Telford's about, right? Get Deacon Fielder fighting some people centre ice. That's what we want to see in Telford. That's what they're about. And see the likes of Tate Shudra, Callum Field, Taylor Stanton. These guys take the next step forward as players in their hockey career. And Rhodes Mitchell King. This could be the final season Telford have him before he goes to the Elite League. So just making the most out of the guys they've got.
Yeah,
I think Jack, I would. Telford fans won't love me for this, but I'm a Crystal Palace supporter, and I see Telford as quite similar to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace develop players; they just can't sometimes keep them, but they develop really strong players who move on and are really successful. And I think, expectations. I think, it's not what Telford want to hear, but I think they're probably, if they can achieve what they did last year, fantastic. A little bit more, brilliant. But again, for the sport as a whole, developing the players that they have and seeing them move on. If they do that again, you've got to give credit for allowing players to develop and they move on and develop in their career and are successful. And I think, Telford just reminds me of a Palace. They will develop players really well, and sometimes it's a struggle to keep hold of them, and they will move on. So, if they can do what they did last season, I think is a real positive.
Well, it happened with Brindley Caps.
Yes, exactly.
For a little final kind of push.
Yeah.
For his then spot in the Elite League, and it was a good season for him full time. So, ones to watches. Who wants to go first? Charlie, do you want to just go first?
I'll go last.
You go last. Okay, Dad, you can go first. Or do you want me to go first?
No, I'm going to go Mitchell King. I think again, I'm going to get in before you boys do. But again, let's grow that Brit talent and see where we go. Opportunity to play again, loyal to Telford, play with some new imports, and I'm sure, as we said, as much as Telford will want to keep him, I think this is his another breakout year to potentially move on and develop his game further, maybe out of this league.
Yeah, I'm going to go with someone we haven't actually talked about in this whole episode, Finlay Howes. Only played 24 games last season. I'm pretty sure he got a point per game. He slots straight into that top six. And if you get him for a full season, we saw what he did before he actually went away to just playing in the NIHL 1. He had a season high of an 81-point season, 58, 59. in the Telford Tigers too. So I think he could be a point per game, maybe even more. He's got a big role this season in the top 6 to try and carry a lot of the points. He's almost that kind of Brinley caps for a full season now in that top 6. So yeah, I'm going to go with Finn Howes, Charlie.
Yeah, I'll go for Callum Field. I've backed him on this podcast.
Bricks all the way.
I really think it will be a big year for him. And underrated shout. I reckon he'll get more than 15 goals. That's my bet. I think he's going to have a little breakout year on goals. I think it was 3 seasons ago I was looking. He had 13 goals for MK and 2 assists. So he's clearly got an eye for goal. And I think in that Telford bottom 6, especially if he can get on a line with like Scott McKenzie or something, I think he'll have a good year.
Nice one. I think that wraps up this episode. Again, thanks to Caelan for hopping on. And I'm excited to watch. I always love Telford. I can't really say a bad word about them. And I wish them all the best for next season. And we'll see them in pre-season because they are our first game of the season. So I'm excited to watch their imports for the first time as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow our socials, and we'll see you in the next team special, whichever one that may be. Peace.